I made this video yesterday about package versions, right? And how a lot of packages still support very outdated PHP versions. And there was this one comment that I really liked, not because I agree with it, but it highlights a couple of good things. And I wanted to read it here because I think it's important to, talk about the other side as well. So yeah, setting the scene real quickly before we dive into Franken PHP, right? But I look at the top 1,000 packages on Packagist, active packages, and I check their Composer.json version and see what the minimum required PHP version is that they support, basically. And my vision, my point of view is that package authors of actively maintained packages should really push forward to more modern PHP versions, supported PHP versions. I'm not saying you should support 8.4, although I would do that and just only support 8.4, but 8.1 at a minimum, the versions that still get security updates. For the majority of packages, that's not the case. This is something people disagree on, and I have a lot of respect for that. And there was one comment that came on this video that I wanted to look into. Here, I disagree with forcing the latest PHP version, which is basically what I'm saying. Or if you don't want to go only latest version, support only the PHP versions that are actively maintained or still get security releases. So 8.1, that's 4 PHP releases, right? 4 years of supporting PHP versions. But let's read here. It's a naive fix that ignores real-world dev challenges. Most PHP devs aren't YouTubers. Check. Framework authors checked. Or script kiddies chasing trends. I don't think I'm a script kiddie chasing trends. I don't know. They're maintaining massive decade-old apps under tight constraints. Now, I know a thing or two about these kinds of apps. I'm not working on that kind of projects right now, but I have done so for 10 years. So force upgrades break dependencies, stranding 100K plus line code bases with no migration path. Countless packages get abandoned because unpaid maintainers can't keep up with relentless new versions. This is gold. But okay, let me read the whole comment first. This churn pushes devs and packages out of the PHP ecosystem, shrinking it. Teams end up freezing PHP versions, isolating systems in VMs, and adding firewalls to avoid security disasters. Consultants jumping between short-term gigs don't get the long-term grind of legacy systems. Their mindset creates junk others have to support. I think this is a really valuable comment. And that's why I did want to start this stream, just taking some time and talking about it. Because there are a lot of things to unpack here. Forced updates break dependencies, stranding 100K line code bases with no migration path. So first thought here, this is a problem that only becomes worse over time. Like the longer you don't touch a code base, it will code rot, right? It's a thing. You cannot explain this to people who don't code, but you don't touch a code base for a year, things will break. And that's because of dependencies. Dependencies update. And you rely on external factors, But the longer you wait, the longer you hold off on actually getting up to date with stuff, only the bigger the problem becomes. I've seen these kinds of projects as well, like where you just don't feel like doing the update right now, and a year later you're like, oh no, now it's become such a big thing, let's just not touch it because it's working, right? But this eventually leads to projects that still work, that are a mess to maintain. And I would say that's not because of third parties evolving, right? We're talking PHP, but we're also talking just everything, basically. Web servers, operating systems, server operating systems. There are so many things that you build on top of and that you cannot really control. Projects need to move forward. Software needs to evolve because otherwise they end up in the same place you end up, right? So you cannot get around this fact that in order for a code base to stay healthy, you need to move along. You cannot like own everything basically. So it all starts with a mindset, right? And I totally get it that once you're down a path in a 10-year-old code base that never accepted or never started with that mindset of we're going to properly maintain this, then yes, of course it is going to be a big pain, because and then you end up in I like this where the isolated systems in VMs and firewalls to avoid security disasters. Like these are all like patches, but don't really solve the problem. So while I have a lot of respect for people working in such systems, because I know it's not always super fun, it's also something that I don't think the problem isn't caused by the root problem. I mean, isn't caused by software updating, which I say is a good thing. No, it's caused by probably upper management or company owners or clients deciding I don't want to invest into a healthy code base anymore, and then it starts to rot. So for me at least, the problem lies there. Countless packages get abandoned because unpaid maintainers can't keep up with relentless new versions. Now this part I really disagree with. I worked at Spatie for 5 years. We had 300 Laravel packages. We had a week every year when and we usually did this a month. No. We did this right when the new major Laravel release got released. We had a big Excel sheet. We went through all our packages and we updated them and we put in the work. That's the commitment we made. Now, on the other side, if your company is relying on open source software and you're claiming that packages get abandoned because maintainers are unpaid, well, we all have a part in that, don't we? So yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna throw the ball back at you, basically. Just then start paying to support maintainers. Or what you can also do, and I've run into this multiple times, if you run into an abandoned package, just fork it. Maybe just keep a copy within the project. That's fine. You don't if the package is abandoned, of course. You don't need to feel the pressure to start a new open source project. You can just fork it privately and then start working on it over there. I've run into countless packages that didn't update to the latest PHP version, and the first step is to submit a pull request and try to get in touch with the maintainer to have it updated. But if that doesn't happen after a while, you just fork it. It's fine. That's open source, right? So that shouldn't be a blocker. But still, you should pay open source maintainers from a company's point of view, right? So yeah, those are my thoughts, and I might actually wrap this up in a small video as well, because I think it's a really valuable comment, right? It highlights a real world problem, and I'm not denying that these problems exist, but I don't think that we can blame software trying to stay up to date for these kinds of problems. That's the core of my message here. Let's see what chat is saying here. You're going wild. I agree with the comment. Okay, our code base is 24 years old with nearly 1 million lines of code, and we are trapped on old versions and upgrading right now, which is a nightmare. Hey, but good for you on finally biting the sour apple. Is that we say that in Dutch? I don't know. We are strangler frigging from, I don't know what that means, but from PHP 7 to Laravel 12 using a complex set of Docker maintainers. Yeah, software is complex indeed. We absolutely should have kept, of course, and that's a plan, should have kept up to date, I reckon you mean, but keeping up is not trivial in the real world. So again, I'm circling back to what I'm experienced with. At Spatie, we did our own project where we put in the time, we marked our calendar. This is 1 week or 2 weeks of update time, and we don't work on anything else, and it costs us money. And then we had client projects as well, and we just drafted in the contract, if you want us to maintain your project for the coming years, you will have to budget the time that it takes us to update every year, and we keep up to date with the latest PHP version and the latest Laravel version. Those were the two big things, right? So someone has to pay for it. I agree. I would say that it pays out in the end. So I think at least the versions that are current should be supported. Fair enough. Even trying hard to keep up, we sometimes end up with a version behind for a while. Fair enough. Although I would say, like, if you wait 2 years, there's more work to be done to get up to date again. So just updating every year is the easiest thing to do. So again, this mindset of we just let the work pile up for a while. It's not going to win you time in the long run. So yeah, that for me is the biggest argument to say, like, let's just only support the latest version, because it doesn't really matter anyway. If people wait too long, they're gonna have more work, so you don't win anything there. But yes, I agree with your point of view as well. We definitely should have kept up to date and are paying for it now. And so yeah, that's kind of, and I'm not trying to shift blame here, because and you're paying for it now. The thing is, these decisions are often made by people that you don't control as a developer. So we're developers here. Although if someone who's in upper management watching, like decision makers, this is really valuable information, I would say, for you as well. I think everyone will be more happy in the long run, clients and like agencies, companies. You will be happier in the long run. But it's like, yeah, it takes an investment. That's true. Although it's an investment that pays off really quickly and really well. I think many PHP devs started with learning by doing and did many things wrong. Gloomy Art says. The newer versions of PHP are on one side way more restrictive, and on the other side conceptually more easy to program stuff. Yeah, I don't know if they're easy necessarily, especially with all the new syntax we're getting, which I like, but I reckon like things can become quite complex in PHP these days. But yeah, I would definitely say I like the newer PHP versions more. And the thing is, like when you say that many PHP developers started with learning by doing and did many things wrong, I don't think that's specific to PHP. PHP does have a lower entry level, so you might attract more people like just trying to hack something. But that's the same goes for other languages. And like I mentioned at the start of this stream, we're having PHPverse next week, and we'll have, let's see here, a panel over here about PHP education with Jeffrey Way from Laracast, Povilas Korop from YouTube Laravel Daily, and Kevin Bond from SymphonyCast. And I'm really looking forward to this part as well, because we see that, or at least my impression is that more and more people getting into PHP are really into properly learning the language as well. So that's really interesting. I find that really interesting. Circling back to Twitch for a second, where Adrian is talking about his tool that he wrote, and he said like his tool to scan the top 1,000 most popular packages. He says, I gathered min version, max version, last release time, and nearly all top 1,000 packages support up to 8.4. This is an interesting point, because when I made this graph, I was really contemplating whether I should focus on minimum supported versions or maximum supported versions. But the story I wanted to tell with this is that as long as packages support all the versions, you're not forcing people to update, right? And so that's the problem I want to highlight with this. It's not about whether they support 8.4 or not. It's about whether they still support outdated versions. And it's actually a good argument that most packages support 8.4, because that's one less reason for people to say they shouldn't update, right? Now, this is top 1,000 packages. If you're relying on like very like exotic, weird packages to do a very specific thing, chances are they won't get regular updates. But this is interesting as well. Like during software development, right? The moment you compose or require a dependency, you should like give some serious thought to that, because you are basically adding, well, a dependency in your code base. You're basically saying, this is something I want to rely on now. And when you're designing a project, you need to like give good like thought to that. Like in most companies, you already need to check out the licensing, right? Whether you're allowed to use it in your context. That's the first step. But you should also look at, is this package actually actively maintained? Is there a community there where we can fall back on? Because you're basically, if you're building commercial projects, right? It is quite like a big thing to just rely on something where you don't know the author, where you don't have any guarantees whether the thing will still be actively maintained in the future. We upgraded all of our microservices from PHP 7.4 to 8.3. Rector was a huge help, and we had PHP stand set up properly. So this is also a thing. If you have like the tools in place that make the process easier, you'll just be a lot happier, and you will also make a lot more, like update a lot faster, because you know it's not that big a deal as it used to be. You can automate a lot of things these days. Okay, so that's my small rant about like follow up on PHP versions. I really appreciate, like, I'll probably make this into a YouTube snippet as well. So Ogumoon, I really appreciate you pitching in. This was a really good comment. Thanks for sharing that, and thanks for allowing me to react to it. So appreciate it. And definitely, if you're watching this and you're like, I have some more follow-up thoughts, leave them in the comments below. And that way we can learn from each other. So thank you. Thank you a lot. Okay, let's head over here.